Hey guys, and welcome to another video by Artistic Hobbies. This is part 4 of my series on building a HO scale train display case. And right now I'm working on a diorama for each shelf. So in part 4 here, I'm laying the track on the cork that I laid on in part 3. So if you guys haven't seen that, I suggest you go ahead and see that part. The track I'm using is Flex Track by Pico. It's 36 inches. And I'm also going to use a ruler, metal ruler, track cutters, a little file. No, those are the clips for the tracks, a file I'm going to use, and some Elmer's glue. So let's get started here, guys. So first what I want to do is lay the track on the cork. Make sure the end of the track is dead even with the cork at one end. Then I want to take my other flex track and place it at the end of the other one, as you'll see here in a minute. I'm going to take those two tracks, butt them up right up to each other. And one thing I forgot was my marker. So I'm placing marks where I want this to be cut at. And once I'm satisfied, I'm going to go ahead and make the cuts with my track cutter. So I got a pretty nice clean cut there. All I'm doing is repositioning the track, making sure each end is good. Then I'm going to take my track joiners, what I'm doing is trying to see how much of the rail portion, or the track ties I should say, I'm going to have to cut off in order to get the track connectors underneath. And I'll show you in a second here, guys, what I'm going to be doing. So I'm placing the track joiners on the track itself, connecting the two, and just determining how many of the ties I need to cut in order for this to fit correctly. So I pretty much determined if I take off one length of tie from each side of the track, that should give me enough room to put the track connectors in together and everything to fit nice and flush with each other. So I got one track cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the other other track there from underneath. And they just slide right off once you cut them. Now what I want to do is put the track joiners, place them into the first track there. And I'm going to slide it onto the other track here and see how everything fits. And I'm just checking the other end and make sure that's correct, not over the edge. At this point it looks pretty good. Then when I take those two ties I have that I cut off, and I want to use my flat file and file in between the grooves there where the track would lay, so I can have a nice groove in there, so when I place them underneath the track they fit perfectly. And I want to do this process for each tie. I forget who makes those little files, but they sure come in handy. I've had those for years. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start doing it on the other one. So from start to finish, this segment took me about 20 minutes to do. So that's not too bad. They go by fairly quickly. So what I want to do is place the first tie underneath the rail itself and just see how it fits. And I'll do that with the second one also. Just take your time on this part of the project, guys. So if you need to take those ties out and shave them down a tiny bit more so they fit, go for it. I'm just taking off some burrs that might be on the rails, the track ties there. So far they're sliding underneath fairly easily. And what you want to do is rub your hands up against the two tracks that are together now and make sure there's nothing sticking up. And from this point it looks pretty good. So I'm just filing down this tie because it wasn't quite right. Just taking off a couple of the burrs. Okay, the fun part. So what I want to do is get my Elmer's glue and start putting some beads of Elmer's glue on the cork. Now what you want to do is put a generous amount here, because once you lay that rail on top of the glue, you want some of it to go around your rail so that will hold the track in place. And once you have it all on the cork, you want to spread it out with your finger very evenly, as I'll show you in a few seconds here. Now some people might be asking, why I'm not using Loctite to fasten the rail to the cork, and I really don't think it's not necessary. Number one, Loctite is a lot more expensive than Elmer's glue, and plus I'm not really running cars on this, and plus from the first one I did, it's really solid once that Elmer's glue sets up. So I'm just spreading out nice and evenly. Now I'm ready to put that track on. And what's nice about working with the Elmer's glue, you have time to work the track, so it's not going to dry within a few minutes of setting the track on the glue. So you have plenty of time to make adjustments and stuff like that. Right now I'm just making sure the track's dead center in between the cork and right up against the edge there. Okay, looks like that's good. Now I'll start on the second portion. I'm just making sure everything fits properly before I put down more glue. Looks like I'm good here. Again, make sure you put a generous amount of glue down, because you want that glue to get in between the rails there, or I should say the track. Just spread it out really good. Get right to the end. Okay, I'm ready to put that second track on. Now I'm going to place those rail ties underneath the rails there. So I'm using the end of the file to get that in, get it into place. And I'll do that with the second one. As you see, it's going by fairly quickly here, this project. That's mainly because I have all the tools in front of me that I need, so I'm not running into the closet to get out my tools that I might have forgot. So I'm just doing final adjustments on those ties. Okay, everything is looking good here. Making some final adjustments to those ties. Making sure the ends are good. Checking the other side, making sure that end's good. And what I'm going to do is take this metal ruler, place it on top of it, and what I'm going to do is go get my cans of fruit or anything heavy you can find to put on top of that, and just evenly distribute that weight on top of the ruler. And make sure, guys, when you're doing this project, you're doing it on a flat surface. And go ahead and let this dry overnight. And you'll be surprised once this dries with the track on it how rigid that board becomes. Anyway, guys, until next time.